You all look beautiful tonight. Where are you, Yvonne? You look beautiful tonight. Hello. Welcome. We are so honored to be hosting the LADCC 50th anniversary. Thank you. Before I go further, I just want to give a quick shout out to the very hardworking production crew. We're all theater people here. We know our production crews don't get enough credit, but we are right now in the middle of tech for a play on stage, Tiny Beautiful Things. We open later this week, but our crew in the middle of tech stopped and put this show on. So we just want to thank our crew. All of us in this room tonight have something in common. We are all part of this fantastic, messy, beautiful family known as the LA theater community. We're all proud to be part of the LA theater community. And this is a special place to be, in this room right here tonight. This room, this theater, was the first theater in America, many people don't know this, the first theater in America to be paid for and built by people of this Los Angeles community for this community. 1925, the building was built, 1924-25. It was not built for vaudeville or for touring shows, but for local people to put on plays. Actors, audience members, philanthropists, and yes, even critics came together and raised money to buy the land and build this building. And since the dedication in 1925, some of the greats of the American theater have been in this room. Their ghosts are with us tonight. We world premiered Tennessee Williams plays right here. He was standing right here yelling at people to do his play right. Agnes DeMille directed on this stage. Gene Hackman, Dustin Hoffman, and thousands of others went to school here and performed right here on this stage. And thousands of reviews and critics have sat in these seats writing about the work being done here. And we're still going. Not just us here at the Playhouse, but all of us in this room, in our theaters all over. In our fractured world, right now, the work we are all doing is more important than ever. So I'm proud of being here tonight. I'm proud of all of you. And I want to celebrate tonight, and please join me in not only celebrating LADCC, not only celebrating all of the artists and nominees tonight, but also our beloved LA theater community. Thank you, and enjoy the show.
Your host for the evening, Wenzel Jones.
I'm Wenzel Jones, and I am in complete solidarity with those of you who have been here the past couple of years and who are asking yourself now, what, him again? Because I'm still not a critic, I'm not a celebrity, and at this stage, I'm not even employed. But I do want you to know that the LA Drama Critics Circle did their best to find a host befitting their 50th anniversary. Somebody who exemplifies wisdom, style, serenity. But neither Princess Grace nor Audrey Hepburn were available for this evening's event. So then they thought, what else comes with old age? Makes you angry, bitter, and resentful. Oh, Wenzel. He owns the tux. Let's hope he cleans it this year. He did not. Lint brush, that's all we got. 50 years is a long haul, and a lot has happened in the interim. There have been so many earnest one-actor shows, so many serious Shakespeare comedies, and so many remountings of The Crucible and Cabaret every time there's a Republican administration. I get it. But a little bit of the circle history. It may not surprise you to learn that at the 1971 awards, which were held at the Raffish Fog Cutter on La Brea, But three critics quit in protest over the lack of attention paid to a favorite show. Mind you, the show did pick up 3 awards, including one for distinguished production. But critics can be, oh, what is the term? Snippy bitches. As a former producer of this event, what's left of my heart goes out to those who mounted the show in 1973. Follies was playing at the Schubert and was lauded with 7 awards, and yet nobody from the Schubert showed up. A rep later explained the Schuberts did not know about the banquet, no invitation was sent. Oops. The organization has seen fit to recognize many who have become acknowledged as legends. In 1976, the guest of honor was Estelle Winwood, who at the time was 95 and was celebrated for a long and distinguished career. The following year, the guest of honor was Mary Martin, who was the age I am now. In other words, a winsome young thing with her best work ahead of her. Shade was thrown in 1978 when a special award was presented to Lillian Hellman. She was ill and unable to attend, so John Hasman came and picked up the plaque, and he conveyed Ms. Hellman's message to the circle. My thanks for your taking so many years to think over this award. It makes it all the more precious. The one I'm sorry to have missed, however, was in 1980, when the event took place at the Variety Arts Center, a long-gone but still missed place downtown where we celebrated the creative. And that year, the co-hosts were Vincent Price and his lovely wife, the actress Coral Brown. And he honored the gathering with, with a clip from one of his films, Theater of Blood. If you don't remember, this is the one where he kills all the critics. When something has endured this long, one can expect the establishment of many respected traditions. Each and every one of these for the past 50 years has been marked by 2 reliable observances. First, there is the possibility of multiple winners in any category because the talent is spread too thick to limit each category to 1. So be prepared for that. Second, of course, we have the no-host bar. And if this evening should lead to one of those awkward situations where there are 3 nominees and 2 go home with a prize, the outlier can meet me at the no-host bar later and we'll discuss it. Besides the competitive categories, the LADCC gives out 8 special awards, each of which is described on your program, so when the recipients get up here, you ought to know how wonderful they already are, but pay close attention, there may be a pop quiz. And if you find yourself needing to come up on the stage this evening, please take advantage of the stairs house left. There are no stairs house right. And I told the one at the top was very tricky. And finally, I'll just decide, let's give a hand to the critics themselves. It is not a calling for the faint of heart, and it is truly a calling, one in which you take your vows. In this case, poverty and chastity. Poverty because nobody wants to pay a critic, and chastity because, well, I don't want to have to draw you that picture. Our first special award of the evening is presented by Jonas Schwartz-Owen of artsinla.com.
I swear I don't have glasses and I always forget. So, let's see if I can get any of the words right. One of the most enduring supporters over the years has been Kinetic Lighting, Inc., supplying stage lighting and theatrical equipment to clients throughout the world. Each year, Kinetic sponsors a special award in the field of technical theater, and past recipients have included designers of sets, costumes, lighting, and sound. This award is accompanied by an honorarium, which means money. I hope you've read about this year's recipient in your program. He's a triple threat, composer, sound designer, and a Noise Within resident artist. I'm proud to present the Kinetic Lighting Award for Distinguished Achievement in Theatrical Design to Mr. Robert Oro.
going to make this quick, but I am going to read it because this is really unexpected and something that I really have a hard time preparing for things like this. So here we go. I'd like to thank the LADCC and Kinetic Lighting for this very unexpected award. When I got the email, I thought something must be wrong and kind of ignored it until I got a second email. And it turns out it was true. I would like to accept this on behalf of all theater composers and designers across the full spectrum: sound, lights, props, costumes, scenic, everyone who designs every show as if it's their last, everybody who leaves it all on the field knowing that their creation has at best a 6-week lifespan. You may have noticed I mentioned sound first. As far as I can tell, this is the first time in the history of theater that sound has been mentioned in a sentence before scenic design, and I wanted there to be a verifiable precedent. I'd also like to thank A Noise Within in Pasadena for giving me a place to work and play, and for being such great people to work and play with. Finally, I would like to thank my partner, Jim. I've been composing original music since 1993. That's 26 years, and he has been there every step. Thank you.
For lighting design. And the nominees are Ken Booth for Henry V at A Noise Within. Matthew Brian Denman for Cabaret at Celebration Theater. Andrew Schmedeke, Native Sons, Antius Theater Company. And Stephen Young, Cabaret, La Mirada Theater of the Performing Arts. And it looks like we have 2 recipients. The first recipient is Matthew Brian Denman, Celebration Theater. So I'm guessing that Matthew's not here. We're going to accept this for him. Oh, he is here. Oh. Is he here or is he not? All right. We will accept it for him while he's enjoying Rome. All right. And the next winner is Andrew Schmedeke.
Thank you, folks. I've been in this town about 4 years, and that's amazing how welcome I feel about this community and by here. Thank you to the LADCC for taking the time to recognize our productions and to put on this evening for us. And in terms of Native Son, my gosh, what a team we had. Thank you to the fearless Andy Chapman for directing this and setting our boat on this course. Thank you to the incredibly talented Jeff Gardner out there in the audience. The sound and the projections. Ed Wendell gave us a fantastic set. And then Wendell who had us some wonderful costumes. And also one quick thank you to Center Theater Group. This show is coming back for one of the first times. We're going to be a part of Block Party next week, and I hope we get a chance to see the work we're doing.
Highly deserving nominees for sound design. And the nominees are Josh Bessam, Cabaret, La Mirada Theater of the Performing Arts. Mikhail Fitchell, Cambodian rock band, South Coast Repertoire. Jeff Gardner, Native Son, Antius Theater Company. And Joshua D. Reed, A Christmas Carol, Gavin Playhouse. And again, we have 2 recipients. The first recipient is Jeff Gardner, Native Son, Antius Theater Company.
God, I loved working on this show. I learned a lot working on this show, and I'm so happy that we're going to be back for a block party. Andrew Schmedeke, you said it, man. Such a great collaborator, and I so appreciate your vision and your collaboration on this project. Andy Chapman, who's not here tonight, is such an incredible visionary as a director, And a lot of this goes to her because she had an incredible road, a map and compass laid out for all of us, and we knew exactly where we were going, and I was so pleased to be on that journey with her. Alongside us collaborating, Ed Haynes, set design, Wendell Carmichael, costumes, Orlando, who's the best scenic painter in town that I can think of, did such a marvelous job. Never underestimate the power of a great, great stage manager, Taylor Cullen, who is so ridiculously good at what she does. I think we had 350 cues, and every night was 100%. She's brilliant. And to Antia's Theater Company, thank you guys for making a home for me. And to my first preview wife, Dylan Jones, who is the eyes and ears for all of my work, I appreciate you so much. I love you, hon. Thank you.
Joshua D. Reed, A Christmas Carol at the Gavin Playhouse. Again, I can't see out there. I'm not sure if he's coming on stage or not. The category is CGI video. We have 3 nominees. First nominee is Lucy McKinnon for A Christmas Carol at the Gavin Playhouse. Second nominee is Caitlin Piatras and Jason H. Thompson for Videographer East West Playhouse. And the third nominee is Nicholas E. Santiago, Arrival and Departure, The Fountain Playhouse. And we have one winner tonight. And that winner is Caitlin Piatras and Jason H. Thompson for East West Playhouse.
This was our first show in LA since the birth of our son, Ferris, and we felt really supported as new parents by East West players, especially by Snehal, Andy Lowe, and our amazing director, Jen Chang.
Jen Chang is the best. We also want to thank the amazing crew at East West, our board op Tess, the stage management team, the design team, the most amazing and dedicated cast. Albert, Paul, Sylvia, Jane, and Scott, you guys are amazing. And to my amazing wife, it is so great to work with the one you love and love the one that you get to work with. And so...
Do theater and bear children. As I noted earlier tonight, we're going to be looking back at 50 years of the LADCC's coverage of theater in Southern California. Many of the Circle's members, past and present, are here, and we are particularly fortunate to have a few of them here to share their thoughts. In the first year of the awards, one plaque for distinguished playwriting went to Mark Crowley for The Boys in the Band. The other was presented to a play called Rosenbloom, and when it made its way east, the New York Times called its author a young writer of unmistakable brilliance. He's here with us tonight, a founding member of the LADCC and one of his first honored recipients. Please help me welcome Harvey Purr.
Wow. Looking at you today, this is a far cry from the first annual award ceremony, which took place at the LA Press Club at a luncheon. Incidentally, the play was Rosebloom, not Rosenbloom. A loose confederation was meeting at the Brown Derby, not the original, but the now defunct restaurant on Vine Street, every Friday, or maybe one Friday a month. Or maybe memory being what it is, maybe it wasn't Friday at all. But when they started, the Los Angeles Free Press, despite the fact that its writers included the likes of Gene Youngblood, Elliot Mintz, Liza Williams, and an illustrator, R. Crumb, whose cartoons often appeared on its covers. It was not on the critics' radar. And it wasn't until my reviews of the company theater started getting attention that I was asked by Dan Sullivan to write a Sunday piece for them for the Los Angeles Times, and was then asked to join the group at the Brown Derby luncheons. Was I invited by Cecil Smith, or John Mahoney, or Dan Sullivan, or Dale Olson? I don't recall precisely. But it was a fun group that included the craggy and paternal James Powers, the Young Turks of the Herald Examiner, Wynne Blevins and Bridget Byrne. Wynne Blevins, who you'll speak to, who will speak later, is right there, with whom I became quite close. Variety's Life of the Party, Bill Edwards. The Hollywood Reporter's sweet but tough-minded John Mahoney, who also became a close friend and ally. Cecil Smith, of course, who switched to television before we became an official group. His second stringer, Dan Sullivan, and a lovely woman from the Jewish newspaper, I can't remember the title of the newspaper, Dorothy Rockness, who invited my ex-wife and me over to her house for bagels and lox, and Danish and straight talk. And the gentleman of the group, Richard Hale, who we all was familiar to us because he had small parts in so many of the movies we all knew. And it was a very heady time. Gordon Davidson went from the UCLA group he headed with John Hausman to the brand new Mark Taper Forum, where he directed the kind of play that nobody else was directing. Documentary works like The Trial of the Catonsville Nine. Now, the opening had so many FBI agents around the place looking for the author who was on the lam for civil disobedience. And in the matter of J. Robin Oppenheimer. His assistant was Edward Perron, who happened to be the discoverer of Edward Albee, and who produced the first productions of Zoo Story and American Dream in Los Angeles. And he had the great idea of putting Tom Stoppett's travesties and Oscar Wilde's The Importance of Being Earnest with the same cast, and who, to the dismay of the high-minded Taper staff, directed its biggest commercial hit at that time, the funny but silly The Mind with the Dirty Man. He also headed the New Theater for Now, a haven for new playwrights, which produced The Scene, an evening of 10-minute plays by the best and brightest of these writers, which caused such excitement that the State Department wanted to send it on tour, which unfortunately was pulled at the last minute. The best play in this group was written by Sam Shepard, which for reasons which were never fully explained, was dropped shortly after the opening. And my only guess was that Sam was ahead of his time. But if that was true, Sam got his due with a great production of his, The Tooth of Crime, a few years later at the Taper. Now, the Amundsen brought us plays with stars like Charlton Heston and Greer Garson, who destroyed a lot of classic plays, but they also brought Laurence Olivier's National Theatre productions of Chekhov and Shakespeare, and it was suggested that Maggie Smith won her coveted Oscar a year later because Amundsen audiences remembered her brilliant work in that repertory season. Peter Brook's memorable Midnight Summer Night's Dream also popped up, to the great amusement of actors like Rosalind Russell, who sat 2 rows ahead of me at its opening. Nobody laughed louder at the Taper revival of Camino Real than its author, Tennessee Williams, whose laugh was a very infectious cackle. Meanwhile, at the James Doolittle Theater, Ann Miller danced her way through Maine, and Lee Grant had fun with a floppy hat in Plaza Suite. Now that floppy hat was designed by Patricia Ziprard, which is the sort of thing critics remember. Earl Carroll's Vanities reopened at the Aquarius with a little show called Hair. And on the opening night of that, Sonia Henney sashayed down the aisles in a powder blue mink coat. And at a small theater on Robertson Boulevard, housed a remarkable group of actors from USC in a series of extraordinary avant-garde plays under the direction of a certified genius, Stephen Kent, which culminated in a stunning maze of a production, the James Joyce Memorial Liquid Theater, which was transformed to, of all places, New York's Museum of Modern Art. At one of the performances I attended, the great Virgil Thompson went through the maze with director James Bridges and playwright Jack Larson, who was the original Jimmy Olsen in the Superman series, but also a wonderful playwright. As I said, it was a heady time. I end this note by saying I dropped out of the critic circle when I became, thanks primarily to Mrs. Gordon Davidson and Edward Perone, a playwright. But that's another story. But before I want to show you what the original LA Drama Critics Circle looked like.
We'll have to leave it there, but if you want to hear the other story, it will be available on our podcast. For more about the LADCC story, we welcome another former member, now the author of the weekly LA Stage Insider column and host of KPFK's Arts in Review, consistently the most dapper member of the LA Drama Critics Circle, Mr. Julio Martinez.
Those informal meetings at the Brown Derby took place during the early 60s. But in 1955, Variety reported that Los Angeles Civic Light Opera director Edwin Lester proposed the establishment of the LA's Critics Circle to some local dramatic press at a dinner Lester hosted at Perino's restaurant. Can someone tell me, you remember where that was? His desire was to have a group of critics judge and award local legit on an annual basis. LA critic Edwin Shallot became the unofficial chairman of the effort, but he retired in 1958. Aside from a few favorable nods from the attending press, nothing concrete developed for a couple of years. But after a nearly decade of informal gatherings, sitting close to the bar at the Brown Derby, the Los Angeles Drama Critics Circle was formally established in 1969. The first LADCC Awards were presented in March 1970 at a luncheon held at the LA Press Club. The first production to garner the LADCC Production Award was Arturo Ui at the Center Theater Group Mark-Take Forum. The only other organization to garner a production award was the Company Theater, honored for a consistent high quality during its season. During the ensuing decades, the LADCC has dealt with the constant evolution of live theater in Los Angeles. In 1972, Equity Waiver Plan was initiated, only to be modified in 1986 and rescinded in 2016. The Circle shows its solidarity with intimate theater by placing 99-seat shows right up there in contention with the biggest productions and Broadway imports. In 2016, the Circle weighed in with a strong statement of concern that was cited multiple times in the AEA negotiations that followed. Big theater came to LA with the Schubert Theater when it became the go-to place. It was in Century City. It became the go-to place for off-Broadway shows, captivating the LADCC voting with its initial production of Follies. But dramatically vibrant small independent companies such as Frank Levy's Catalina Productions, which moved its staging of Hasty Heart from the 99-seat Cass Theater to the Amundsen Theater, and garnered 5 LADC awards in 1981. And Susan Albert Lowenberg's LA Theater Works production of Stephen Berkoff's Greek at the Matrix Theater, which received 4 LADC awards in 1982, instilled a vibrant new energy into the theater scene. Over the years, the LADC awards have moved about town at such quaint locales as the Fog Cutter in Hollywood, the Embassy Room of the Ambassador Hotel, General Lee's in Chinatown, Pike's Verdugo Oaks, the Variety Arts Center, and USC's Town and Gown. A highlight event occurred in 1983 when critic David Galligan directed a star-studded award ceremony at the 1,800-seat Variety Arts Theater with Julie Andrews headlining. Then the awards moved on to the Sportsman Lodge, the El Portal Theater in North Hollywood, the Colony Theater in Burbank, the San Gabriel Playhouse, and tonight we're here at the Pasadena Playhouse. The venues for theater criticism have altered dramatically. There are fewer daily newspapers. The trades and weeklies are either gone or not covering the legitimate theater as robustly as they used to. But we still have a vibrant and dedicated Los Angeles Drama Critics Circle. Yes, print has significantly decreased, but cogent online criticism observations remain. Most significantly, the Los Angeles theater scene is as relevant and as persistent as ever, as is evident here this evening. So, we wish you all to have a great night, and thank you.
West Coast version. We've been touring for 50 years, but now we're playing the Palace. God, I wish I could carry a hat off like that. Anyway, our next awards will be presented by Katie Beneke of Stage Raw.
Deceive you. That's the Oscar-winning best song of 1972, The Morning After. It was written by Al Tasha and the late Joel Hirschhorn, our LADCC colleague, and the man for whom the next special award was named. Joel loved musicals, and when talking and writing about them, with some despair, we knew he would be thrilled to have his award given for distinguished achievement in musical theater and accompanied by an honorarium be presented to the organization described in your program, now celebrating its 40th year, La Mirada Theater for the Performing Arts and McCoy Rigby Entertainment.
Look, everybody, Kathy Rigby. There's Kathy Rigby. And there's our former theater director, Brian Kite, and our current theater director, B.T. McNichol. Aren't they beautiful men? Beautiful men. I think we love the most about what we do. The city of La Mirada supports the theater tremendously. If it wasn't for them, there would be no La Mirada Theater. We wouldn't be doing what we're doing. So the government and the arts in La Mirada are healthy and fantastic. Here's something else that we love about what we do. 98% of the casts we hire are from Los Angeles. 100% of the designers we hire, creatives, directors, everybody are from Los Angeles. We take our shows from La Mirada, we tour the country, we play Broadway, we take shows overseas, and they're all companies from Los Angeles. We're proud of that, so thank you.
Something funny, Norma. Yeah. Can I say something personal though? After almost 37 years of being in this industry, to come to an event like this and see so many, everybody's familiar. You either know the name or you know the people or you've worked with them. It's such a warm, fuzzy, great feeling, and I'm grateful for that. But I'd also like to say one thing about the gentleman who just spoke, and since we're acknowledging our loved ones, Tom and I have been married for almost 37 years. Very long time. And we met on stage. I was doing my very first show, and Tom was doing the season, and we fell in love, and the rest is history. But we've been on many adventures together, and now in our 26th year at La Mirada, I have to say that I get to do the fun stuff. He has to push the numbers around and do everything else. And I'm so grateful for him, and that he's one of the hardest working. He loves this community. He loves his designers, he loves his actors, he loves his crews, and especially the audiences. But honey, I love you, and thank you for doing this. I couldn't do it without you.
BT, I love you. BT and I didn't get to work together at La Mirada, but he came after I left after 12 great years. I'm grateful for all the time I got to spend with Tom and Kathy. Grateful to the city, grateful to LADCC for this really nice honor, paying attention to musical theater and the good work that's happening in La Mirada. Grateful for all the critics who come down to see what we're doing down there. We care about musical theater with LA artists, and we care about putting quality shows together that will actually not just be only for fun, but try to make a difference for people too. So I'm grateful for the time I spent there, and thank you for this.
I'm relatively new to the community. I want to thank Tom and Kathy and Brian. I love them all. I love you as well. And we really love the city of La Mirada. The city of La Mirada, as Tom said, they support the arts. It's a marriage of government and the arts. I feel like I'm living in Europe. It's very nice. It's like seeing the Eiffel Tower outside of my office every day. But we want to thank them especially, and also the drama critics especially for giving us this award and recognizing the great work primarily that these folks have done. And I'm happy to help continue the tradition. Thank you so much.
For musical score, Sarah Bareilles, waitress, Hollywood Pantages Theater. Dengue Fever and Others, Cambodian rock band, South Coast Rock. Ben Strasick and Justin Paul, Dear Evan Hansen, Center Theater Group, Amundsen Theater. And Irene Sankoff and David Hine, Come From Away, Center Theater Group, Amundsen. Recipient is Irene Sankoff and David Hine. Come From Away, Center Theater Group. Direction. The nominees are Ian Eisendrath, Come From Away, Center Theater Group, Amundsen Theater. Matthew McNally, Cambodian rock band, South Coast Repertory. David O, Cabaret, La Mirada Theater Group, and Anthony Zedeker, Cabaret Celebration Theater. Oh gosh, I feel like I need another arm. And we have two recipients in this category. The first recipient is Ian Eisendrath, Come From Away, Center Theater Group. I don't believe we have Ian tonight, but our second recipient is Anthony Zedeker.
Yes, thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. I'm just overwhelmed and frankly shocked that this is me standing here. Considering who I was up against, I'm just honored. There's so many people I want to thank, but I'll just start by thanking my amazing cast of Cabaret at Celebration Theater. They filled me up with inspiration. I just felt so full working on this show. I'd also like to thank my band, no music director is anything without their band. Chris Kempis on bass, Nicole Marcus on drums, and Phil Moore on reeds. I'd like to thank Esty de Merchant, who, I just have to say this, I can't believe there's not an award for stage management. I would have crumbled. None of our shows would have run smoothly. Act 2 never would have started at the right time. I never would have stopped playing the pre-show at the right time. Just Esty was just everything for me, so I have to keep embarrassing her as long as I possibly can. I'd love to thank Michael Matthews and Janet Roston, the director and choreographer of Cabaret, who gave me a chance to take a gamble on a fresh face and somebody who's a little bit green in this business. And I just have to thank Cabaret. It's a gift to humanity, honestly. It's one of the greatest shows ever written. Every person who ever works on it, it's an unforgettable experience. Kander and Ebb's score, just so much of the work was done for me. All I had to do was fall into it. I just want to thank LADCC. Thank you so much.
Choreography are Janet Roston, Cabaret Celebration Theater. Dana Salimondo, Cabaret La Mirada Theater for the Performing Arts. Sergio Trujillo, Ain't Too Proud, Center Theater Group, Amundsen Theater. And Sergio Trujillo again for On Your Feet at the Hollywood Pancake Theater. And the recipient is Janet Roston.
I'm so surprised. I can't even believe it. Thank you so much to the LADCCs. I'm so happy that they are able to recognize work done in small theater. It's such a challenge. And I also think that when you work on revivals, I know for me, I was really trying to find a way to honor the material, but to look at it with a different way. And that's difficult sometimes for people who expect to see it in a certain form, but you still need to honor the material. So I'm really grateful for them to recognize the work that was done. And to my cast who dealt with all my crazy ideas, thank you. And to Celebration Theater, they are amazing and so supportive. And to Michael Matthews, who's an absolute genius, and he is my leader. I will follow him anywhere. And also I want to thank my husband who couldn't come tonight, but if any of you are here and get hold of him, make sure that he knows that I thanked him. Because he puts up with me coming in and out at all hours and running around the house at midnight because I can't fall asleep. Thank you so much. I'm really, really surprised and I really appreciate it. Thank you.
I'm joking about Cabaret. I am happy to introduce Francis Bob Nicholson of Southern California News Group and Stage Struck Review to present our next 2 awards.
Before I follow the script, a couple of quick things. First, if any of you ever saw Carol Channing do Hello Dolly at the Curran Theater in San Francisco, you saw her walk out at the very end of the play and then point to a seat and say, "That's where I sat when I saw my first theatrical production." For me, it was up there. My grandmother appeared on the stage. My mother choreographed on this stage. This is home. So. The Milton Katselas Award honors a local director for distinguished achievement in direction. It celebrates sustained work, but it also looks forward to continuing excellence. This award is sponsored by the Beverly Hills Playhouse and is accompanied by an honorarium. Every one of the 9 previous recipients, starting with Richard Israel in 2010, is still based primarily in LA, still directing regularly, still thrilling audiences and critics alike with their depth of understanding of the human condition, still demonstrating their ability to channel that empathy through their actors, writers, and design team. All of that is very much true of tonight's recipient. You may read a little about him in your program, but to appreciate the stuff his work is made of. There is no substitute for seeing a play directed by Mr. Cameron Watts.
Prepared to watch a retrospective of my career up there, but I guess I sent in a video, but I guess it didn't happen. No, my goodness, oh my goodness. I don't want to pull out a piece of paper. It's not a long speech, but sit back. I want to link on to what was just said about this stage and about this theater. I guess that I thought a lot today about what I wanted to say and wanted to start with a joke. And my joke was, this is an award given by a lot of critics. And I started out as an actor. And we, as actors, as we all know, would go, I don't read reviews. I'm not going to go read the reviews. It doesn't matter what they say. If there's a good moment that I do that they squash on, I'll never do it again. If there's a bad moment that they acknowledge, it's going to ruin the whole production, so I'm not going to read the reviews. But back in the day, at about 6 o'clock in the morning, I would get in the car and go get every LA Weekly, drama log, and backstage that you could find to read the reviews. Right, actors? But as a director, and in this time that we live in, you don't have to do that anymore. You don't care anymore. You just put a Google alert on yourself. You check it, and you check it, and you check it, and you check it. It's been a long road and a wonderful road, and I think the thing that I wanted to share with everybody tonight was something that I call the gathering effect, which I talk about a lot in my work and in my teaching. And everything that happens in our careers comes with us. Every part you play, every show you direct, every little decision you make about a design gathers with you. You bring it along with you to the next project and to the next project. And I have a lot of gathering that brings me up to this award tonight. And very quickly, they include people like Horton Foote and Ron Link and Barbara Beckley in the Colony Theater and the New Amsterdam Theater and the Fountain Theater and the Road Theater and the Road Machine Theater and my home, the Antaeus Theater. My actors, people like Alan Mandel and Rebecca Mozo and Nan McNamara and so many amazing actors that I get to work with, and my family and my parents and my community theater in Shelbyville, Tennessee, and my high school in Shelbyville, Tennessee, where we were told to do things because it was okay to do it and it didn't matter what anybody thought. And my partner Steve, who we are celebrating 20 years this year, and he's the perfect partner to have in this theater life that I have because he knows exactly what to say on opening night. He says it's perfect. The day after, he may have a couple of notes. I want to thank everybody at GATA. You know who you are. And I want to continue to gather us all together and continue the journey ahead of us. And I cannot thank you enough. And thank you for putting me in this category, in this honor, in this name with Milton Gonzalez. It means a great deal. Thank you.
Our nominees in the competitive category of direction: Jennifer Chang, Viet Gong. Nikki Dukas, The Hot House. Jeff Elliott, Rosencrantz and Guildenstern are dead. Annie Tipp, Cult of Love, IAM Theater Company at Atwater Village Theater. Che Yu, Cambodian rock band, South Coast Records. And there are two recipients. The first recipient is Jeff Elliott. Welcome to the Dead.
Julia. Thank you all of my friends over at A Noise Within. And thank you, LADCC, so much.
Our second recipient, Jennifer Chang.
Oh my God, I'm so shocked. I have to tell you a story. When Snehal asked me, where is he? Is he here? When Snehal asked me to direct this play and have a fresh take on it, I was like, excuse me, Hamina? Because everyone here in this room probably has seen this show already. But it was such a gift to be able to have that take and to be able to talk about the silent cost that refugees have to take to come to this country. So that was a focus, and also the fact that there are some hot Asian men. And I really did do this play because the hero in my life is my husband Dan. He's a hot Asian man who lets me be whatever I want to be and disappear. And we have 2 children, 4 and 6, and he is absolutely the lead parent right now. And so thank you, and I have to thank my cast, Paul, Sylvia, Jane, Scott, Albert, my designers, Jason, Caitlin, Tom, John, Glenn, Stephanie, who did I miss? Stage management, Jade, who handled over 1,000 cues for this show, and Thomas, Aaron, for stage combat. It was just an enormous show that kicked my butt, and it was one of the hardest things, but that's my ride or die crew right there. And I also have to thank my manager, Jeffrey, who made me wear this dress.
We inaugurate a new special award, which we are calling the Theater Angel. Any person or institution at risk or in crisis can use an angel. And theater in our beloved Southern California, while as robust and healthy as you've heard it described tonight, needs all the help it can get. To present this prestigious award, we are delighted to welcome Artistic Director of Center Theater Group, Michael Ritchie.
I'm here tonight to present on behalf of the LADCC the inaugural Theater Angel Award to its first recipient. This award is a way for all of us to recognize and reward those people who work endlessly and tirelessly behind the scenes in order to make great theater and to help create an initial bond and then a permanent bridge between the artist and the audience. There is no better example of that than tonight's honoree, Yvonne Bell. But that's not my theme song. That's great. Yvonne is a native Angelino. She was introduced to the arts very early on by her parents and her grandmother, and her parents are with us tonight, and they deserve a round of applause. Her mother was a school teacher who often took Yvonne out of school into the Mark Taper Forum or the Amundsen, saying, going to the theater is a better life education than the classroom will ever be. In part because of those early experiences, Yvonne eventually decided to pursue a lifelong career in the arts. Over the past 30 years here in Los Angeles, she has helped to open the Museum of Contemporary Art. She has helped to open the Science Center. She has helped to open the Kirk Douglas Theater. And she has also helped not only to keep Center Theater Group alive, but active and thriving.
20 years ago, Yvonne began her career at CTG as the Director of Development, and during her time there, she has raised over $250 million in support of theater in Los Angeles. Years ago, her title was refashioned to Director of Advancement to recognize her responsibilities as a strategist in guiding CTG to a more forward-thinking direction and cementing its place as an essential Los Angeles, national, and international cultural gift. She's also been a tireless supporter of all theater in LA. She was instrumental in the creation of Block Party, and over the years, there have been countless examples of her supporting other theater companies with counsel, introductions, staff support, board prospects, and fundraising. On a personal note, I first met Yvonne soon after I was hired, and we had a meeting on the plaza at the Music Center. She started the conversation, which she has never stopped, quite honestly, for 15 years. But she started the conversation by saying, I don't want to be here unless you promise me that you want us to be the very best we can be, and that you will always work to that end, because that is why I am here. She has worked towards that goal to be the best every single day for the 15 years I have been honored to work by her side. She's become not only an admired colleague, but a treasured friend. With that, ladies and gentlemen, Yvonne Bell.
I'm honored to be the first recipient of the LADCC Theater Angel Award, especially on the occasion of its 50th anniversary. Thank you to Terry Morgan and my good friend Jeannie Hackett. There are many vital people that make up the LA theater ecosystem, and the critics are a vital part of that landscape, and therefore the future health of theater in Los Angeles. I salute you for your good work, and I thank you for this special honor. I'd like to thank a few people here this evening, one of whom traveled down from Seattle, and many, many others who traveled from the West Side. Seattle was much easier. And again, I'd like to give a nod to my parents and my grandmother, who took me to the theater in LA since the early 70s, or as soon as I could behave and sit still in a seat. Gordon Davidson and Charles Dillingham, who took a chance on a young 35-year-old 25 years ago and hired me in the top fundraising job at Center Theater Group. My husband Derek, who I was newly married to at that time, I made him attend every CTG show and event with me. This lasted about 5 years. He's here tonight, though. Sherry Biller, who recruited me to her family foundation board as the first outside trustee, and allowed me to help make grants to support smaller theaters here in Los Angeles and now along the West Coast. And thank you to my friends, colleagues, CTG board members, and donors who are here this evening. And that includes you, Michael Ritchie, my friend who is always there for me, especially when I need a good laugh. This is really a privilege, and I am proud to accept this award and make a difference in our community. Thank you.
It's kind of a kabuki thing to always exit through the exact same door in which you entered. But for the purposes of this evening, if you come up to receive a plaque, if you could just leave through the kitchen, somebody will catch you before you fall off the edge of the earth. So it's time for the 20-minute intermission, so take advantage of that no-host bar, and we'll see you right back here in 20 minutes.